Okay, so now this is the last thing on exponentials and logarithms. Finding inverses. So here's a list of rules again. It's just kind of pasting. Logarithms and exponentials are inverse functions, and so we want to be able to find the inverse of a particular function. So here's a function. What's the inverse for it? So how do you find the inverse of something? You flip the x and the y. That's supposed to be flip there, and that's supposed to be a p and not an n. Flip x and y, and then solve for y. So that's our equation after we flip the x and the y. The y is in the exponent. So what do we want to do? We want to solve for the y. We need to get the y all by itself on one side of the equation. How do you get something out of the exponent? The fundamental rule does that. So we need to set this up so we can use the fundamental rule. We want to isolate exponential and then use the fundamental rule. So subtract a 5 from both sides. Okay. And 5 comes over. Divide both sides by 2. And now we can use the fundamental rule because we've got it all set up. Something to a power equals something. That's our fundamental rule here. We can turn it into a logarithm. Base is e, so we'll get logarithm base e of thing on the by itself equals my exponent. Now we just solve for y. We can just add a 1 to both sides. Log of x minus 5 over 2 plus 1 equals 3y, and then divide both sides by 3. And now we've got, sorry about that. And now we have the solution. So the inverse to this function is this function. Flip the x and the y, isolate the exponential part, and then use the fundamental rule. So we got the exponential part, that's this, all by itself. Once it's set up like this, we can use the fundamental rule. That turns into a logarithm. Log base e is ln of this side equals whatever the exponent is. Now the y is down out of the exponent. We just need to get it all by itself on the right-hand side. So we'll add a 1 to both sides and then divide by 3. How do you find the inverse of a logarithm? Well, the inverse of a logarithm is going to be an exponential. So flip x and y, solve for y. So we get x equals 3 log 2y plus 3 minus 5. Isolate the logarithm, then use the fundamental rule. The fundamental rule, in case you haven't noticed, gets used a lot. It's fundamental for a reason. So to isolate that, I'm going to add a 5 to both sides and divide by 3. Okay. So add a 5 and then divide by 3, and we get this. And now we can use the fundamental rule. Remember that a log without a subscript means that it's really base 10. So it's going to be 10 to this equals that. And now we can isolate the y by subtracting a 3 from both sides. Parentheses around that, so we know that's an exponent. Subtract a 3 from both sides, and then divide by 2. And there it is. And that's the end of the exponential lectures. So I hope everybody is doing okay. And yeah, so that's that.